Now in section 3.4, we're going to continue to look at lines, but we're going to look at linear inequalities. Inequalities are greater than or equal to, less than or equal to. So if we look at the application for 3.3 with that taxi ride, you pay $5.10 just for getting in the taxi, not going any miles, and then $2.60 per mile is the cost of the cab ride. Question number 1. What does the inequality 5.1 plus 2.6m less than or equal to 20 represent? So this would represent the cost of a cab ride less than or exactly or equal to $20. So it might be $20 or it might be less than $20. So this would be the number of miles that you can travel where your cost is less than or exactly equal to $20. So here they want us to solve this inequality. In other words, we want to get m by itself. 5.1 plus 2.6m less than or equal to 20. We solve this like equations, only we're going to keep this inequality here. Want to get m by itself, so the first thing we're going to do is subtract 5.1 from both sides. So now we have 2.6m is less than or equal to 14.9. Dividing both sides by 2.6, we have m is less than or equal to 5.7. You can go 5.7 miles or less for $20. So that's the inequality. And if we wanted to graph this here, let's say here's 0 miles and here's 5.7 miles. You can go 5.7 miles or less. That's how we would graph that. So write a sentence describing your solution. If you have $20 or less to spend on a cab ride, then you can travel at most 5.7 miles. You can go 5.7 miles, you just can't go more than 5.7 miles. Miles has to be less than or equal to 5.7. Number 4, explain why an inequality is a more natural choice than an equation. All right, so you probably don't think I have exactly $20 to spend on a cab ride. Right, in your mind, you're not saying, all right, I want to get out of this cab when it exactly hits $20. No, you're more likely to say, I don't want to spend more than $20. Or I only have $20. I don't want to spend more. I don't want to spend more than $20. And we would describe that as you don't want to spend more than, that would be less than or equal to. All right, so for question 5, suppose you're running some errands for your boss and she says, I imagine you'll need to spend at least $30 on cab fare. Don't spend more than 50 though. How would we write this inequality? Okay, so first of all, we know that 5.1 plus 2.6m is this is going to be the cost of the cab ride. This cost has to be less than, if she said, I imagine you'll need at least, which means $30 or more. This is going to represent, you're going to need at least $30. The cost is going to be $30 or more, $35, $40, $45. But at the same time, don't spend more than. That means less than or equal to $50. Don't spend more than 50 means you can spend 50 or less. So there's our inequality. But we want to get m by itself. Number 6 says solve this inequality so you know how many miles you can go, not just the amount of money between $30 and $50 that you have to spend. So we want to get m by itself in the middle of this inequality. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 5.1, but I have to subtract it from the left and from the right. This is called a compound inequality. Whatever I do in the middle, I have to do on the left and the right as well. So we're going to get 24.9 is less than or equal to 2.6m is less than or equal to 44.9. And now we're going to divide the middle by 2.6, so we get miles by itself. But whatever we do to the middle, we have to do to the left and the right. And we're going to wind up with the miles. You can go 9.6 or more miles. You can go up to, but not more than 17.3 miles. So you can travel between, all your errands can take you 9.6 miles up to 17.3 miles. So describe the information you provided. If you're allowed to spend between $30 and $50, your ride can be between 9.6 miles and 17.3 miles. We're going to continue with this application here, though. Suppose you have a maximum of $50 to spend on the cab fare, but you need to make a round trip to and back, both to and from a certain location. Which of the following inequalities best describes this situation? So 2 times the distance has to be less than or equal to 50. That would be C right here. This is the distance has to be less than 2.5. No, that's crazy. This multiplied the 5.1 by 2, but it did not multiply the 2.6 by 2, so that's why that one's wrong. And here we're dividing by 2, not multiplying by 2. So our correct answer is C for round trip. Solve this inequality and choose, you chose, and write an interpretation. Okay, so this round trip scenario. 2 times, this is the cost. This is the cost for a one-way. We're going to multiply by 2 to get the cost for a round trip. Has to be less than or equal to 50. So I'm going to distribute that 2 to get rid of my parens. 5.1 times 2 is 10.2. And 2.6 times 2 is 5.2. M is less than or equal to 50. And now we want to get M by itself. So subtract 10.2 from both sides. 5.2m, bring down the less than or equal to, and we get 39.8. And divide both sides by 5.2. So for a round trip to be less than or equal to $50, the one way has got to be less than or equal to 7.7 miles. The location you're heading has to be no more than 7.7 miles away, because you need money to get there and back. Less than or equal to is no more than. And number 10 here, going back to that car depreciation value, we studied the depreciation of a car, and we had that the volume No. The value. We bought a $15,000 car and it loses $2,000 every year. The owner of the vehicle decides he'll hang on to it at least until it's worth less than $2,000. Less than $2,000. So when is the value less than 2,000? They didn't say less than or equal to. They said less than $2,000. So we want to find the time. How long should he keep this car? So subtract 15,000 from both sides, and we get negative 2,000. T is less than negative 13,000. Now the thing about inequalities, if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, you swap the sign. That's very important here. Because of this negative number, we go from less than or equal to greater than or equal to. So the amount of time has to be more than, and that's going to be 6.5, 6.5 years. So he has to keep the car more than 6.5 years.